It's time to start our next group project. Are you ready? Hi everyone, I am Cristin and we are about to start our next group project. So we have done quite a bit already this year. We did Ginger's Kitchen just recently, and before that we did We Wish You a Merry Christmas. So now we're going to start on the Kimberbell Jingle All the Way quilt. This is a big one, and our sponsor for this is Oh My Darling. So if you haven't already purchased supplies, make sure to do that from our sponsor. Always support our sponsors whenever you can. I will add a direct link here that will take you to their website and the products for the Jingle quilt that we need. All right, so there's several things I want to go over. So one, our sponsor, don't forget, Oh My Darling's wonderful quilt shop, and they have pretty much everything that you need. I believe they still have everything. So, and if you don't see something that you need, just reach out to them, send them an email or give them a call, and they'll be on top of it for you. So another thing is make sure to subscribe. So I get a lot of people that ask, like we had one that was, we had been prepping for about a week and, oh, are we supposed to start prepping? So make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. So just go to Cristin Creates, click that little subscribe button, and then click the bell. The bell will make it so that you get notifications when a new video is posted, and that will help to keep on top of everything. All right. The other thing is, so this is a group project. So that means that I want to see what you're making. And it also tells me when I start seeing all the photos popping up, it tells me that you're ready to move on and we can move on to the next block. So join Cristin Creates on Facebook. It's the Cristin Creates group. Just click the link. There's a link in this video underneath in the video notes. Cristin Creates on Facebook. There's a couple of questions to answer, and then you can join in and share your photos. All right. This is both of us working on it together, all of us, right? There's several thousand people in the group, and we love to see all the projects you're working on, but especially the group project that we're doing together. All right. So make sure to do that. Make sure to join and to share your photos. All right. We're going to do this quilt at a very comfortable pace, very comfortable, like you'll see. So another thing is I want you to create a goal. Every project, every group project, I always ask you to create a goal. And at the end of each video, I tell you about my goal and how I'm doing with it. And I ask you about yours. So I want to hear about it. So when we get there, you'll see that this project is going to be at a really comfortable pace. All right. So you don't have to worry like at trying to keep up. It's going to be at a very comfortable pace. Plus, I'm going to be out of town the second week of September for a full week. And so you'll have time to catch up if you need it. So I know some people haven't prepped their fabrics yet and they want to do that before starting. And that's totally fine. One way or the other, either way will work fine. Whether you prep or you do it right before each block, but you will have time to catch up throughout this project. You will have time to catch up. So keep in mind that when you're working on your block, I'm working on doing the block and creating the video and taking all the photos and editing the video. So you will have time. Don't worry. I promise you'll have time. It will be a very comfortable pace. So another thing is that when we work on a block, like today's block, in fact, I'm going to tell you that we're going to work on this block. I'm going to choose to try and put 2-in-1 hooping if I can, because we need 2 of this first block. You can absolutely do them separately, or you can choose to do them together. And if you decide to do them together, if you haven't purchased Embrilliance Essentials yet, please use my affiliate link here. I'll point up here to a link. Click on that and then choose Embrilliance Essentials. That is the product that I use. It's software, and it is really user-friendly, very easy to work with, but also I walk you through it step by step, literally, like click on this, we're going to do this. You're not going to have to worry about anything. So that is optional though. You can absolutely do your blocks separately, or you can choose to do them together. The positives with doing them together, you're learning new software. That's always a good thing. But also you'll save on stabilizer and save on time. And that's the main reason why I group them together. But again, you can do them separately. So don't get scared off if we do them together. All right, let's see. Pop rollers. I am going to use my pop rollers at the end of this video. I will show you how to use them. I'll do one little video, just one for the whole series. I'm not going to do it every single time, but I will show you how I use the pop rulers. You can use whatever rulers that you use, but I find those to be the easiest in cutting our quilt blocks. So the packets, so I have a whole lot of these packets. I think I used 36 for this project. So if you haven't purchased the packets, I will add a link here to my Amazon storefront. Actually, it'll go over here. So click on that Amazon storefront. It's got several items in there that you can use, and it helps support the channel. So whenever you need something from Amazon for your embroidery project, just look in my Amazon storefront, and that will help support our efforts here with this project. All right, so each day I will pull out one packet and we'll work on that one packet. We'll talk about what, all the products that you need, the quilting design and the quilting design size, the batting size, all of the fabrics. We'll go over every single thing. All right, and the first video for this series will always be the longest because I go over all of the basics because we have a lot of newbies that join in. But then after that, you'll get the hang of it. It's going to go a lot easier. So the quilt files, I want to mention the quilt files real quick. If you haven't already purchased your quilting files, I'm going to tell you each day what size that you need. And you can purchase one design or you can purchase several designs to add to your digital library of quilting options, but it's totally up to you. Just when you do purchase though, please use our affiliate sponsor, our sponsor's affiliate link. So underneath this video, there's a direct link, and all it does, you click on that and it takes you to Kimberbell, and then you choose the quilting designs that you want, and it gives a little kickback to our sponsor. So it helps them. They do a lot for us to sponsor these projects, especially these older ones. They're harder on their end. So we want to support our sponsor however we can. So on the book, I want to mention on the book. So I have the old book. All right. I heard that there have been a couple of revisions, but even with the revisions, I'm not sure. Actually, I did hear that one of the revisions does have the newest cut guide. But if you have your old book like I do, it's not a problem. I mentioned this in the prep video. You want to make sure to download from the Kimberbell website. There is a download that you can get this fabric cut guide, because this is in all of the newer Kimberbell projects, but it's not in this old one. So you just download that, print it out. I go over it, every single bit of it in the prep video, but you will definitely want that if you haven't already. All right, so let's get on to today. Actually, one more thing. So stabilizers. I'm going to tell you about stabilizers real quick. So I use the Kimberbell light mesh cutaway in my hoop, and I'll show a photo of that each time that we're working on a project. I'll show you the hoop size that I'm using and the stabilizer that I'm using. So this is the regular one. There's also the large one. If you decide to do more in one hooping, like I'm going to do for today, I'm guessing it'll probably need my 9x14 hoop to do 2-in-1 hooping, but I'm not sure yet. I'll know when I get to software. But there's also this bigger one for the bigger hoops. All right, so this one is the 20-inch by 10 yards, okay? And then the regular one. So those I use each time. So I'll always that. And then also the batting. I will go over the batting each day, but I'm using the Kimberbell batting, and our sponsor has a special deal. Like you can buy this big bag of batting, and I actually used that. It's not actually Kimberbell, but it is very similar. And so our sponsor, Oh My Darlings, has that on their website for you. Or of course the Kimberbell project batting will work great if you have that available. And then fusible backing. So I will tell you on every fabric, and I went over this in the prep video too, the ones that will need fusible stabilizer and the ones that you definitely don't want to. Basically the ones that are going to chenille, you don't want to back those with fusible backing. But almost everything else I do, and I'll go over that on each block, which ones that some people do, some people don't. Totally up to you on some of them, but always at least do the background fabric, the main fabric. You want to definitely do that so that you don't get puckering. All right, are you ready to jump into today? I'm really excited. So we're going to start. So we're going to do the blocks not in order from the book. And again, some of us have different books and I don't know exactly the differences for all of them. But where it starts on page, where are we? 5 with the candy canes block, that's not what we're going to start with. So we're going to jump around a bit and we're going to do some ahead to save for later. Like today, we'll have one extra for later. So that will make us feel like we're ahead of the game. So anyway, let's get started. So for today, we're going to work on Jingle All the Way. For the Jingle All the Way quilt, we're going to work on a Jingle All the Way block. So grab your packet if you made a packet for Jingle All the Way. Mine, I use this blue tape. It makes it easy. And I also fold over one of the edges so that it comes off easy. I found the Kimberbell tape. I used to use the Kimberbell tape on that, but it's too sticky. So I use the blue tape. That's in my Amazon store as well. And what I do is I write the page number. And again, my page numbers may be different than yours, but I write the page number, which you really may not need because I'm going to go over all of the specifics for you. But I write the page number and then I write the name of the block and then I write how many of them as well in the little corner. So Jingle All the Way, grab that. And we'll go over what we need for today. I'll also tell you about any substitutes. Our sponsor did make a fabric kit just for us, and there are some substitutions on those. All right, so page 6 is what mine is on. So I'm going to turn to page 6 for Jingle All the Way. All right, and then I'm going to start by telling you the main fabric. So we're going to go over all of the fabrics today, any specifics. And we're going to get started on this group project. I'm very excited. All right, so our main fabric. So I'm going to go over for 2 blocks because we need 2 of them. You can do one of them now or you can do one of them later. You can do that both of them now but in separate hoopings, or you can do both of them now in one hooping if you have a big enough hoop. Whatever works for you. Your quilt, your way. All right, your project. So we're going to start with this gray fabric. It's a very light gray with white dots on it. All right, that's our main fabric. And like I said, make sure to back your main fabric with fusible stabilizer. All right, always your main fabric. Make sure to have fusible backing on this so that you don't get any puckering. All right, and you can see that I like to cut it in 1/4 inch just so I can tell the front from the back. It's not super important on this gray fabric, I can tell, but on the white fabrics, it helps to know which side is the front, which side is the back. All right, so our main fabric. So we are going to have this be 8.5 by 10.5, and you want 2 pieces, one for each of the blocks. We need 2 blocks today for the Jingle All the Way. All right, so 2 pieces at 8.5 by 10.5 backed with fusible stabilizer. All right, 2 pieces. Okay, that's our main fabric. And then we have for all the little applique pieces. So we're going to do the J and the N together, and I think it's J and I don't remember off the top of my head now. I'm seeing that there's a squirrel, a dot, and a houndstooth. So for the reds, and then for the greens, there's some different. So I'm just going to go over those all together. So the first one is this red squirrel fabric. All right, and there's no substitution. This is for a couple of the letters. It doesn't tell me J. It's for the J. It looks like they're all, how funny, because when I looked at it on Embrilliance, it showed that some of them were grouped. So I'm going to have to look at that. I did find some errors, unfortunately, in this old book. So I'll go over that too. So right now it says 2 pieces of this red squirrel fabric, and it's for the J, all right? So you want 2 of them. I do back mine with fusible stabilizer. That is completely optional. Some people like to do it on their appliques like I do, and some people choose not to. It's up to you, whatever works for you. All right, so 2 pieces. This is for the J in our Jingle All the Way block, and we want these to be 2.5 by 2.5. All right, 2 pieces of the red squirrel fabric at 2.5 by 2.5. All right, and then the next one is the green lattice fabric. So I call this the green lattice. I'm not absolutely sure of the names of the fabric, so you'll see me making up different names. So this is the green lattice. It looks like the orange peel. If you've got the orange peel quilting designed by Kimberbell, it looks like that too. So whatever you call it. 2 pieces again at 2.5 by 2.5. This is going to be for the eye. It says for the eye. All right. So I did back mine with fusible stabilizer, totally optional. 2.5 by 2.5. You want 2 pieces, one for each of the Jingle All the Way blocks. All right. And then next is the red dots. So the red dots fabric, again, 2.5 by 2.5. This is, I assume, for the N. Yep, for the N, the red dot fabric. 2.5 by 2.5. You want 2 pieces, one for each of the Jingle All the Way blocks. All right. And then we have the green scroll. So the green scroll fabric, 2.5 by 2.5, and you want 2 pieces. This is for the G. I'm looking because I know we have an error coming up, so I want to make sure to point that out. So 2 pieces, green scroll, 2.5 by 2.5. Backed with fusible stabilizer if you choose, and if not, not a problem. It's up to you. All right, and then we have the red houndstooth. So the red houndstooth, there wasn't a substitute, and yet it's been discontinued for a while, so she must have gotten some for us. So the red houndstooth, 2.5 by 2.5, 2 pieces. All right, I assume this is for the L. Yep, for the L. Okay, 2 pieces. And then we have the green. So this one, I call it the green, like flowers with circles and dots. I don't know what it's called. But this one is one that I saw an error. So on my book, and again, my page number is number 6, so you can tell what book you have based on that probably. For this E fabric, it says we only need 1, but we need it for both of the fabrics, or for both of the blocks. So Jingle All the Way, we're doing 2 blocks. So this is for the E. So it says in the book that you want just 1 piece, but you do need 2. And in that download from Kimberbell, the updated fabric sheet, it does say it correctly in there. So you should be okay if you followed that, which is what I used to make the prep video. All right, so 2 pieces, 2.5 by 2.5. It's that flowers and circles and dots. I don't know what you call it. All right. And then on that one, so there is a substitute. So if you have it from years ago, then you've got that green dot one with the flowers and such. And from our sponsor, the substitute is this green tufted. All right, this tufted fabric. So either one of these will be great. 2 pieces, 2.5 by 2.5. All right, and then this one was an error as well. So this one, it is a snowflake fabric. I probably won't be able to see that on this video. I don't know, but it is a snowflake fabric. And this is the one I was telling you, see how I've got my backing cut in just a little bit? It makes it easier to know the front from the back when you're going to put it down. And I don't think it matters too much, but it will help to be able to see the snowflakes a little bit better. There, now you can see it. See it right there? All right, so 2.5 by 2.5. We want 4 pieces though. And in the cut guide here, not really a cut guide, but in the book, it says we want 2 pieces, but it's for both of the peppermint pieces. So that you're going to put 1 on one of them and 1 on the other, and then do the same on the next block. So you do want 4 pieces. In the book, it says 2 pieces, but in the fabric cut guide, it does say 4. So if you followed that for your cutting, you should be fine. So 4 pieces, 2.5 by 2.5 of the snowflake fabric. All right. And I do recommend backing it with fusible stabilizer on the white because it's going to be up against that gray fabric, and you don't want the gray bleeding through. You want it to show white. All right. Up to you though. All right. And then let's see. That's the 2 errors. We do want 2 blocks. So the batting for this is going to be 7 by 9. So 7 by 9. And the way you can tell the cut size of your batting is the final cut size of the project. So the last item, if you go through all the directions of each block, it'll tell you the last item. It'll say square the finished block 2, and then that's how you can determine your batting. So on this one, square the finished block to 6.5 by 8.5. We always want it a 1/2 inch larger for our batting, so that means we want our batting to be 7 by 9. All right, 7 by 9, 2 pieces, 1 for each Jingle All the Way block, 7 by 9. All right, and then we are going to quilt this. If you haven't quilted before, don't worry, it is not scary. It's going to be really easy. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. Just follow along with the photos when we get to that point, and you'll be a pro. All right, so on this one, we are going to quilt this with Chevron 2 in a 6x8 design, and it's a horizontal design because this one comes horizontal or vertical, so you want the horizontal. Now remember, you can use any quilting design that you choose that is a 6x8 design, 6x8 quilting design. All right, and I'm going to use Chevron 2. It is in the Jingle All the Way kit. If you bought the Jingle All the Way kit for the quilting kit, the quilting pack, I don't know what you call it, but there's one for Jingle All the Way. So I want to talk real quick about the quilting. So I am going to use probably all of the designs that are in Jingle All the Way, but I will also venture out and use some others. All right, so I've been going over all of them and deciding what I think would be fun. So you can use, and I'll always tell you on each block, you can use any quilting design that is this size. This is the one that I'm going to use. All right, so that should be pretty easy to work through. So don't forget to, if you buy a quilting design, make sure to use that link that is underneath this video in the video notes. My dog is pushing my door open. Oh, hi. So anyway, we are going to work on the Jingle All the Way block. We've got the quilting, we've got the batting, we've got all of the fabrics. We are good to get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, for those that want to join me in putting 2 of these blocks into one hooping, join me over at the computer and I'll show you how to do it with Embrilliance Essentials. Hey everyone, I'm at my computer now and I'm going to quickly show you how to use Embrilliance Essentials to put the 2 Jingle All the Way blocks in one hooping if you choose. So I haven't looked at this yet, so we'll look at it together. So I'm going to open up Embrilliance Essentials. I'm going to move this over here so my head's not in the way. And the first thing is right down here at the bottom, it'll show your hoop size. All right, you always want to start with that. So I'm on my 8x8 hoop, but I'm pretty sure that we will need, it's a 6x8 quilting design. I think we'll probably need a 9x14. So a 8x12 would work if you take out the quilting on the 6x8 quilting design. It would not fit. I have to think about this, the 6x12. So I'm going to show you what I mean here. So this will be important. So I'm going to go up here to this preferences folder, click on that, and I'm going to choose my 8x12 hoop and say okay. And then I like to click on this compass button up here in the corner, click on that, and then click on H for hoop, and it'll zoom into the hoop. All right, so I want to show you what I mean about the quilting size. So I'm going to start by bringing in the quilting design. So I'm going to go here to merge stitch file, click on that, and then I'm going to navigate to the quilting design that I have. So I have it on my desktop. So I'm just going to close up some of these other files and Jingle All the Way and embroidery files. There's the quilting bundle right there. So the Jingle All the Way bundle, quilting bundle from Kimberbell Design. So I'm going to use the Chevron 2. All right, so Chevron 2 embroidery files. Pez is what I use for my machine. And we want the 6x8 in a horizontal design. So I'm just going to scroll down here until I see the 6x8. There's 6x6, 6x8. So here's the horizontal and here is the vertical. All right, so we want this one because we're going to turn our design. So let's see. I'm going to double click on that. It will go to the center. And there's the first one. So this is what I wanted to show you. So if we were, I'm in an 8x12 hoop. So say that I click on the design, and I'm going to click on this right arrow button here to rotate the design. You can see it does not fit in my 8x12 hoop. All right, so if I wanted to get 2 of those, it's not going to fit in my 8x12 hoop. You can see right here the selected size. The selected design is 8.5 by 6.5. If you were to take out, I think actually it still would be too big. I was going to say if you take out the steps 3 and 4. So let me just show you real quick for those that haven't done this before. So the first part of the design, this is the placement and the tack down of the main fabric. And when you click on step 1 and step 2, right down here, it'll say the size. So 6 by 8. So my hoop, my brother hoop, is a little less than 8 inches. So I could shrink it down. If your biggest hoop is an 8 by 12 and you really want to get 2-in-1 hooping, you'd have to do some maneuvering to make that work. And this is 6 by 8, but I want to show you steps 3 and step 4. When you look down here, you can see it's 8.5 by 6.5, because that steps 3 and 4 are the placement and tack down of the main fabric, and that is a 1/4 inch past the batting placement and tack down. And that's what gives us our 1/4 inch seam allowance. And so that's why it is larger. So you would have to take out those steps. And then if you're on a brother hoop, you'd even have to shrink it down a little bit. It is doable. You could do it. But I'm going to go ahead and use my larger hoop. So I'm going to click on this preferences folder, and I'm going to navigate to my 9 by 14 hoop and say okay. And then you can see that that one fits. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on that whole design. So to do that, you can click on the stitching, or you can click over here in the objects window and just drag up, or even just click on that first part where it's got all of the steps within. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on my arrow on my keyboard, the up arrow on my keyboard, and I'm going to bring it up to the top. All right. Let's see, that should work fine. You want to make sure not to go over the hoop size. I'm going to click on this compass button again. So see that compass button, you want to click on that because it shows you exactly how much you have in your hoop. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move this up to the top, making sure not to go over the hoop part. And the hoop is designated by this yellow part that goes all the way around. All right, so that works fine. So before I do 2 of these, I want to change these colors. And I've mentioned this in pretty much all of my videos, but in case you're new, I'm clicking outside so nothing is selected, so you can see here, there's a blue, orange. So if I did not change the colors on here, those would join together. And if they join together, then you've got your batting and your fabric all together, and you don't want that. Then you're losing out on that 1/4 inch seam allowance. So when we put down our batting and tack it down, then we trim it, and then it's all opened up for the placement and tack down of our main fabric, which goes a 1/4 inch past that. And that's what gives us our seam allowance without batting in our seams. And it's not too horrible to have batting in your seams, but it makes it very bulky and it's hard to sew together, and it doesn't lay super flat. And so you definitely want to try not to have batting in your seams whenever you can. So if we just change these colors, then they're not going to merge together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on 1-1. I'm just going to do all of them very quickly. So I'm going to click on the first one, 1-1, click on the color down here in the properties window. If you don't see your properties window, you can go up to this view menu up here and make sure that you have all of these selected. And then also in this toolbars window, you want all of these selected as well. And then you'll see your properties window. All right, so back to 1-1, click on the color down here in the properties window, and you can choose just the first color that comes up for you. It doesn't matter what it is. I have Fil-Tec Glide chosen as my preference, and so the first color that comes up for me is dark aqua. So I'm just going to click on that. It doesn't matter what color you choose, so choosing the first one just makes it faster. All right, so say okay. That's 1-1. Now I'm going to click on 1-2, click on the color. First color that comes up for me is Blaze. Say okay. And then 1-3, click on the color, and I want the second color down. You can see we've already used dark aqua, so I don't want that one. I want the next one down, which for me is Marine. Say okay. 1-4, click on the color. We already used Blaze. You can see it right here in the objects window. So I want the second one down, which is Oriole. Say okay. And then 1-5, click on the color, and I'm going to choose the first color, which for me is Sprout. All right, so that is all done. Now I want to point out that if you wanted to have, if you had 2 different main fabrics, like one is red and one is green, then you would want this stop. All right, so if you were doing that, these are both gray fabrics, so it's not an issue here, but I want to point it out that if you wanted to change one color of one block to have the quilting be white and one block to have the quilting be black, whatever it is, then you would change this to a different color on the second one, but I'm going to do them the same. All right, so I have sprout. So all of those are done. The colors are changed. You saw that just takes a moment. It's very quick. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on that design. I just clicked up here on number 1. I'm going to say Control C to copy it and then Control V like victory to paste it. And you can't see it because it's right on top of that first design, but in this objects window, you can see we now have 2 designs. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my arrow key and I'm just going to bring this one down and I'm going to hope that I have enough room. Looks like I'm going to be just fine. That's good. All right, so I brought it down using the arrow keys. You can use your mouse if you prefer, but the arrow keys just keeps it centered. So either one will work just fine. All right, and then you can see we have a little bit of space in between. There's not a ton of space. In fact, I think I could move it down, this second one down just a bit more. Just making sure not to go over those, that yellow outer rectangle. All right, so now I have the 2. So there will be a little bit of overlap is my guess because we have 2 inches of extra fabric. And so we'll just be careful not to have those overlap too much. All right, so those are done. So I have the second one done and the colors are already changed. So that's all good. That's how to bring in the quilting designs for both of them. Now we want to bring in the Jingle All the Way embroidery design. So I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File and I'm going to find that design. So I have mine in my Jingle All the Way and then embroidery files. Let's see, Pez for my machine. And then the designs will start to populate over here. We're looking for Jingle All the Way. There it is right there. Now, I want to point out something really important here. I noticed this earlier. There is a 4x4 design. We don't want that. We want the 5x7. There's also, if I go down here at the bottom, there's also a 6x10 design. So make sure that you're picking the right one for this project. And it says, I'll tell you, I'll try to remember to tell you on each block, but it does say in the book, it says Jingle All the Way, make 2 identical Jingle All the Way blocks, embroidery file 5x7 Jingle All the Way. So make sure you're choosing on the right one. They gave us extras in case we wanted to make other things. All right, so here's the 5x7 Jingle All the Way. I'm going to double click on that. It goes to the center. Now this is going to be important. We want to center that with the block. So I didn't think about that ahead of time, but you can see that it's rotated. So first off, we want to rotate it. So I have it clicked on. You want to make sure to have the entire design selected, not the quilting, just the Jingle All the Way. And I'm going to click this left arrow key here to turn it. All right, and then you can take the design and you can eyeball it and get it pretty close to accurate. But we're going to actually get it, make sure that it's exactly right also. So one thing is we need 2 of these, but I'm going to want to make some changes. You can see there's a lot of cyan and oranges that are going to join together if we don't change those colors. So I definitely want to make that change. So it looks like it might be just the cyan and orange. We have scarlet, chartreuse, red, leaf green, scarlet again. Those would join together most likely. So we would want to change that. And then a green. So the only ones that we need to worry about are the cyan and oranges, which are our applique pieces. And then that scarlet is on here twice. And we want those to be separate. All right. All right, so let's get started on that. So I'm going to click on this first one. See, now this is interesting to me. This first one has the J and the N and the L, whereas our fabric says that it's just one fabric for the J, one fabric for the N, one fabric for the L. So that's interesting. So when we stitch the placement stitch for these, we're going to have to put those 3 fabrics down. And I'll show you how to do that in photos. We'll go through the entire project step by step. But I just want to point that out, that there are going to be 3 pieces in that one block. So I'm going to keep going down here. Let's see. And then it's going to tack them all down. And same with the greens. So it's going to do all 3 of the greens at once. So we have to keep that in mind. And then there's that white for the peppermint block. and then a tack down, a white for this peppermint block, and a tack down. It's funny that those are separated even though they're the same, but they're different colors, that's why, but it doesn't matter on the placement and tack down of the fabric. So either way, so we've got good. Okay, so I just wanted to look through those because I hadn't done that yet. So, oops, sorry, clicking somewhere else, wrong thing. All right, so I'm going to come up to, I'm back onto Jingle All the Way. Now, I want to go ahead and make the changes of these colors so that I can do a copy and paste and have that second one. So all of these cyan and oranges, remember, if you don't change them, when we do a color sort, all of those will join together, and you'd have to put all of your fabrics down and it will tack them all down at the same time as the placement stitch. You don't want that. We want to make sure that they're separated. All right, so I'm going to click outside so that nothing is selected, and I'm going to click on this first one. So I'm on 3-1, click on the color, and the first color that comes up is marine. We already used marine in our quilting, so I'm going to use the next color down, which is Hawaiian blue. And again, it doesn't matter what color. If you wanted a red, you could go and find a red. It's just a waste of time. It doesn't matter at this point. So I'm just going to click on Hawaiian blue and say okay. And then 3-2, click on the color. And the first color that comes up is Halloween. I'm going to say okay. And then 3-3, click on the color. We've already used marine and Hawaiian blue, so I'm going to use the next color down, which is Mercury for me. Say okay. 3-4, click on the color. We already used Halloween, so I'm going to use Butterscotch. And then 3-5, click on the color, and we're going to come down to Tropical and say okay. And 3-6, click on the color, and we already used Butterscotch, so I'm going to come down to Bronze and say okay. And then I think this is our last one. 3-7, click on the color, and I used Tropical was the last one, so I'm going to use Robin's Egg. You can always see your colors up here in case you forget. So I'm on Robin Egg, say okay. 3-8, click on the color, and we used Butterscotch and Bronze, so I'm going to use Biscotti. Say okay. All right, and then these, let's see, there was 2 scarlets, so we'll have to change one of these scarlets. I'm going to click on 3-13, click on the color, and I'm going to choose the first color that comes up for me, which is Ruby. And that's not somewhere else on our design, so we'll be fine. All right, so those are all separated now so that we can do a color sort later. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on number 3 so that you have all of number 3. You don't want any of the quilting part. You just want the third design, which is the Jingle All the Way design. And I'm going to say Control C to copy it once we've got all of the thread colors changed, and then Control V like victory to paste it. And again, it goes right on top of that first one. Click on the stitching and pull it down and just eyeball it. It doesn't have to be exact at all because we're going to do some aligning and distributing. All right, so there's number 4. It's got all of the parts that we already changed. I'm going to go ahead and close these files here or shrink them down so that I can see everything. So I'm just clicking on these minus buttons to make them pluses so that I can see all 4 of the designs. All right, so now once we do a color sort, you can't do that align and distribute. You can't move any of the parts, so you want to make sure to do this part now where we're getting it lined up just right. So what I'm going to do, let's see, if I were to, let's see, I'm going to try this. So I'm going to click on number 1, and then I'm going to click on the control button. Is it the control? Yep, control. So I'm hitting control on my keyboard and holding it down while I click on number 3. So I have number 1 and number 3 both selected, nothing else, just number 1 and number 3. That's the first quilting design and the first Jingle All the Way design. And I'm going to say Utility, Align and Distribute right there. And I'm going to say Center, Center, and Apply. And you saw the jingle moved up just a little bit, maybe even over to the right just a bit. So we were pretty close anyway, but now we know that it's centered correctly within that quilting design. So I'm going to say Close. Now I'm going to click on number 2, the second quilting design, click that control button and click number 4, which is that second Jingle All the Way design. And I'm going to go to Utility, Align and Distribute, and I'm going to say Center, Center, Apply, and Jingle moved up just a little bit over to the right. All right, so those are now aligned and distributed perfectly. We have everything the way that we want it. Right now there are 38 color steps. We'll be here for a long time working on all that, and that's why if we have a big enough hoop, it's really helpful to be able to make it so that we can do all of these at once. Now, if it will stress you out to put those fabrics down on both of the blocks, then you could just leave it like this, send it to your machine, and you're good to go. But if you want it so that they're doing them all together, it'll save some time. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do a color sort. Right now we have 38 color steps. I'm going to go up here to, by the way, before you do your color sort, make sure that you have these aligned. We just did that, so that is correct. And then you also want your blocks fitting within your hoop the way that you want it. You want everything to be how you want it now, because once we do a color sort, we're going to go from these 4 different designs down to 1 design, and you can't move anything. So just make sure that you're getting everything how you want it now. All right, so let's go ahead and do a color sort. I'm going to go to Utility, Color Sort, and it thinks, and it's reduced it by 19 color changes. Now this is very important. Make sure that you don't have any of these selected and your tolerance is at 0. If you want the same results that I'm getting, then you need to have the same settings that I have. All right, and then click New View. Always click New View. It will open another tab. We're on Untitled 1 now. It will open Untitled 2, another tab, and we'll go from these 4 designs down to 1. So let's do that, New View, and then we can check it and make sure that everything did as we wanted it to. And if not, then we go back to this first tab and we change whatever we want to change. All right, so now we're working in Untitled 2, the second tab, and you can see everything's in 1 design now. So I'm going to open this up and I'm just going to run through the design and make sure that everything did as I was hoping it would do. So we have the placement for the batting on both blocks, the tack down for the batting, perfect, the placement for the main fabric, the tack down for the main fabric, and they're all lined up just right. This is great. And then we have the quilting design on both blocks. So that is very good. So it'll be really nice to not have to work on each of these separately. We can put the hoop in one time, take it out to cut our batting just once. Same with all of those red fabrics, and then all of those green fabrics we'll do at one time. That'll be save us quite a bit of time. All right, so let's see, we are on number 6, and that is the placement for all of the red fabrics for Jingle, and then the tack down of those red fabrics, and then we'll trim them. I'll go through all of that step by step with photos, and then the placement for the green fabrics and the tack down for the green fabrics, and then we have the placement for the first white peppermint fabric. It's the white on our peppermint twist here. We could have actually joined those together, but I'm going to do them separate just to make sure that everyone knows, because there are some people that will be doing these individually as well. So I want to make sure I'm going through each of the steps. All right, so that is the placement for the white fabric, and then the tack down for the white fabric, another placement for the white fabric, and a tack down for the white fabric, and then it is going to stitch the peppermint twist on the red on both of those, and then the greens on both of them, and then the decorative stitch on all of the red fabrics, and the holly leaves together, so that's great. The all the way and the holly berries are together, and then all of the green fabrics with the satin stitch, and that's the last thing, or decorative stitch, I guess it's called. So now we have 19 color steps instead of 38, and they're all together, and it's going to be really easy to do and easy for the tutorial too, because whether you're doing them single or together, the process will show the same in the photos. All right, so I'm going to do a save. Let's see, I'm going to move this over a little bit. All right, File, Save, Stitch File As. Now this is important. Make sure to do as. Always do a file, save, stitch as. If you don't do an as, if you just hit save, it's going to save over the first item that you brought in, and you don't want it to save over something. You want to have a new file. All right, so I am going to go back to my desktop where I have my Jingle. Let's see, embroidery files. You could save this to your desktop. You can save it to wherever it works for you. Make sure you're on Pez. All right, and then I'm gonna name this Jingle All the Way ×2. You can name it whatever works for you. It's just so that you can find it easily next time. Now I am going to say utility send to Solaris. I have an XP1, a Brother Luminaire machine, and I can send it directly to my machine. If you don't have one of the machines that is Wi-Fi ready, then you would just save it to a USB stick or copy it to a USB stick, and I have an entire tutorial just on how to do that. It's super quick and super simple. If you need any help with that. So, okay, and now it's ready to go. It's on my machine and ready for stitching. All right, let's get started. Okay, everyone, now that we are at the end of our block, we are going to cut it down to 6.5 by 8.5. I'm going to use the pop rulers, the medium size one, and show you how to do that if you haven't used the pop rulers before. So notice I have it on a rotating cut mat. That is super helpful. I will add a link to my Amazon storefront that has the cut mat that I use. And you want a good cutter. All right. So if you are left-handed, you are going to start on the left-hand side and cut with your, if you are right-handed, you are going to start on the left-hand side and cut with your right hand opposite if you are left-handed. So these grooves, we're going to go into this groove and then we are going to make the cut. I'm doing it at an angle here so that you can see, but bear with me. So down here into the groove, and then the key thing is that you're pushing the blade of your cutter against the pop ruler on the left hand side. All right, so down into the groove, cut, pushing against that pop ruler. All right, and notice here's some really important things. So I have my block upside down, right side down. I prefer that. You do what works for you, but I like it because then I can see a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. So before you do any cutting, make sure that you've got your 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. Move the block to how it works for you to have that 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then make that first cut. All right, and then you're going to rotate it to make the next cut down into the groove, and again pushing against the side of the pop roller, pushing toward that. All right, rotate again and down into the corner. All right, and pushing against the side. All right, and then one more turn and down into the corner and pushing against the side. All right, and you can see we've got a perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. Take out your pop ruler. It looks like I need a new blade. So there we go, and that was easy. All right, so there's our first block, 6.5 by 8.5 with our 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. And that was really easy using the pop rulers. I am definitely a fan of the pop rulers. And I have this wooden block that holds them perfectly. See that wooden block? That thing is heaven. I love it. It holds my pop rulers just wonderfully. That is available in my Amazon storefront as well. All right, don't forget to share a picture once you have your Jingle All the Way blocks complete. So I always get questions about my embroidered shirts, so I'm going to try to remember to always tell you about it. So this one is from Designs by Juju. It's a cute sunflower design. It says, "Embrace all that is you," with a cute sunflower on it. So it is a sunflower pack from Designs by Juju, and underneath this video, I'll always include at the if you look underneath the video, in the video description, the video notes, there's a bunch of extra information, so you always want to check that. But at the bottom, I will also add in where I got the design. The shirt is ancient old, but it is an embroidered shirt using the Designs by Juju pack. All right, now let's talk goals. So every project, I always ask you to create a goal. There's one gal in our group that's already almost done with her goal. We haven't even started the project yet, but her goal was to clean out her closet, and she's almost done already. So she's probably going to have to come up with another goal. So my goal actually for this project is pretty big. So I kind of have two of them. So originally I wanted this one specific goal, but I've also been working on this other one. So I'm going to work on both of them. So this is a big project. This one will take us a long time. So keep that in mind when you decide on your goal. So my main goal is to work on a project in between this project. So each day, like this will help slow me down too, for those that complain that I go through the projects too quickly. So I have a bunch of shirts to embroider. I have a quilt that's waiting for Stitch in the Ditch and embellishment, so I'm going to work on that. I have some kid projects I want to work on. So every day I'm going to try and work on our block, and then take a day off and work on my specific goal. So something from my stash that I want to get done. So that will help slow the project down a little bit, and it'll help me get where I'm not overwhelmed with a lot of projects. I know a lot of people have UFOs, unfinished project, unfinished objects. And I have a couple, but I also have a bunch of designs that I've purchased with an intent of making them, and I haven't. So that's my goal. I'm going to work hard on that. And that's hard because I'm like super focused. Once I start working on a project, I like to work on it until it's done. So I'm going to try and work on stuff in between as well. So that's my main goal. And then my secondary goal, so this one is pretty cool. So I started it a week ago. So I'm 1 week in, and I'm eating healthy. I'm drinking tons of water. I'm getting exercise every day. I'm doing all of the healthy things. But I also downloaded this app. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I had never heard of it. It's called My Net Diary, I think. I think it was called My Net Diary. I'll add a little info at the bottom if I'm saying it wrong. But it's a great app. It's so user-friendly, and it makes it so that you can you can keep a journal of all of your foods. So you can input all of your foods throughout the day, and it tells you how many fat grams and how many carbs and how many protein grams and all the things, so that you can figure out if you're getting everything that you're supposed to. And you put in your weight loss goal, and it will tell you how long it's going to take you and how many calories you can have each day towards your goal. And then when you work out, it gives you extra calories so that you can actually work hard on exercise and still stay within your range. And it's a great app. I'm really enjoying that. So I've been using it for a week now. I think it's $5 a month or $60 a year, whatever, same thing. But it's great. It's so user friendly. It's even got a barcode where you can just scan the item that you purchase from the store, and it will input all of the data of that food so that you can keep on track with all of your stuff. So I'm working hard on that. I've worked out every single day this week. Today I did a good hike with my husband. We did, I think it was about 4 miles with just under 400 feet of climbing, which isn't super intense, but it was good. My husband doesn't like to do the super intense ones. And so I got him outside, because getting vitamin D outside is really good, especially living in Idaho, because winter is coming soon. So I want to make sure to get outside as much as I can. So I also did a strength workout with weight training on iFit. iFit is an app that you can also download, and I use it with my treadmill and my bike. And then there's also the strength training one where you just do it in front of your television, and it had weight training and so many lunges. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be so sore tomorrow. So anyway, I'm working hard on my goal. I'm doing really good. So figure out your goal, whatever it is. So there's lots of them, right? Getting enough sleep, getting your sewing room all cleaned up, working on older projects that you haven't, that have been staring at you that you want to get done. That's the big one for me. That's what I'm working on. So eating healthy, getting exercise, getting movement, whatever it is, drinking enough water, no sweets. So I'm working hard on no sweets. I haven't had any sweets for 7 days. I'm doing pretty good with that. And that's hard for me. I like my sweets. So whatever your goal is, I want to hear about it. Put a comment in this YouTube video at the bottom. Make a comment and tell me what your goal is and how you're doing with it. Each time that you see a video, I want to hear about your goal as well. Let's do our goals together.